On April 22nd, 2026, the world of computing will witness the arrival of a monster that carries a staggering 208 megabytes of cache. This isn't just a number. It is a statement of power that rivals the entire hard drive capacity of computers from a previous generation. Before we dive into this mechanical titan, hit that subscribe button to ensure you stay ahead of the curve in a world that moves faster than light. Imagine waking up to a headline where a processor boasts 208 megabytes of cache. To the uninitiated, that sounds like a typo, perhaps a decimal point moved too far to the right. But for the tech-obsessed, it sounds like the Holy Grail. This is the Ryzen 9 9950X3D2 Dual Edition. The name itself is a mouthful, a labyrinth of numbers and letters designed to signal one thing: absolute dominance. It is a number so large it feels alien, like hearing a car has 1,000 horsepower when you only use it to drive to the grocery store. You might assume that a chip with this much X3D DNA is the ultimate weapon for gaming. It is a natural reaction, given that the X3D branding has been the darling of the gaming community for years. However, the reality is far more calculated and perhaps a bit more cynical. This is not a toy for the average gamer, and the company is making sure the professionals know it. This chip is built for the builders, the architects of digital worlds, and the scientists crunching numbers that would make a supercomputer sweat. To understand why this chip exists, we have to look at how modern CPUs are built. Think of a processor not as a single solid piece of stone, but as a collection of office buildings called chiplets, or CCDs. Each chiplet contains the workers, the CPU cores, who do the heavy lifting. In a high-end chip like this, you have 2 of these buildings, each housing 8 cores, giving you a total of 16 cores and 32 threads. But workers are only as fast as their access to information, which is where the cache comes in. AIC is like a high-speed pantry right next to the chef. If the chef has to go all the way to the basement, which is your RAM, the cooking slows down. 3DV cache is the technology of stacking extra pantry space directly on top of the workers. Instead of building wider, they build taller, adding floors to the building. This massive increase in storage right on the chip allows data to be accessed at speeds that seem almost instantaneous. It is a vertical revolution that changes the very physics of how data flows through a system. The Dual Edition tag in the new 9950X3D2 is the real game changer here. In previous generations, the company only put that extra cache on one of the 2 buildings. Imagine a company where the marketing department has a gourmet kitchen, but the engineering department has to walk across the street to get a snack. This created a massive headache for the computer's brain, which had to figure out which workers should be doing which jobs. For the first time, both buildings now have the gourmet kitchen. This is a complete reversal of what the tech giant told us only a year ago. Back then, they claimed there were no technical limits, but that the cost of doing this was simply too high. They argued that most tasks, especially games, didn't really benefit from having that extra cache on both sides. They essentially looked at the market and decided it wasn't worth the money. But as we see so often in this industry, what was not worth it yesterday becomes essential today when the competition starts breathing down your neck. The history of these dual building chips is littered with the frustration of users who just wanted things to work. The big problem was something called scheduling. Your operating system, like Windows, had to be smart enough to send a game to the building that had the extra cache. If it made a mistake and sent the game to the building without the cache, your performance would drop significantly. It was like buying a Ferrari and finding out the GPS keeps routing you through a muddy field. Users were forced to become amateur engineers just to get the performance they paid for. You had to mess with game bar settings, tweak power plans, and use third-party tools just to make sure the right cores were doing the right jobs. It was a tedious, manual process that felt entirely out of place in an era of supposed automation. The tech company was the villain here, selling a high-performance dream while leaving the heavy lifting of optimization to the person who bought the box. The new Dual Edition solves this problem through sheer brute force. By putting that massive cache on both buildings, the system no longer has to guess where to send the work. Whether the data goes to building A or building B, it finds the same high-speed pantry waiting for it. It is a simpler, more elegant solution that removes the need for manual tinkering. It is the company admitting that their software solutions weren't good enough, so they threw more hardware at the problem. But here's the catch, and it is a big one. Just because the user experience is smoother doesn't mean your frame rates in games are going to skyrocket. There's a hidden wall in the way, and that wall is called latency. Even though both buildings now have extra cache, they still have to talk to each other. When data needs to jump from one building to the other, it takes time. In the world of high-speed computing, even a tiny delay is enough to keep your performance from reaching the stars. Most games today are still not designed to utilize 16 cores effectively. They're like a sports team that only needs 8 players on the field. Having another 8 players sitting on a different bench doesn't make the team twice as fast. In fact, if the players on the field have to keep checking in with the players on the other bench, it might actually slow things down. This is why more cores do not automatically lead to more speed in your favorite virtual worlds. Perhaps the most telling sign of where this chip stands is what the company didn't show us. During the big reveal, there was a glaring absence of gaming benchmarks. When a company that usually loves to brag about frame rates stays silent on gaming, you should pay attention. It is a clear signal that this chip is not meant to be a gaming king. They are moving the goalposts, focusing on professional metrics because the gaming gains are likely marginal at best. Instead of showing us high-speed shooters, they showed us data science and engine builds. They talked about a 13% increase in data science workloads and a 10% boost in compiling large codebases. For a developer sitting in a studio, waiting for a massive game engine to compile, those percentages represent hours of saved time every week. For a technical artist rendering a complex 3D scene, a 7% improvement is the difference between going home on time or working late. This is where the true value of the 9950X3D2 lies. It is a specialized tool for a specific set of people. It is for the person who spends their day in Unreal Engine, or the researcher training an AI model that needs constant access to large datasets. These users don't care about a 5% increase in frames per second. They care about system stability and the removal of bottlenecks that slow down their professional creative flow. So, if you are a gamer sitting there with your wallet open, you need to be careful. The tech industry loves to sell you the most expensive thing by making you feel like you are missing out if you don't have the top-tier model. But in this case, the top-tier model might actually be a worse value for you. The Ryzen 7 9800X3D is likely to remain the champion of the people. It offers the speed you actually need without the complexity and the massive price tag of the Dual Edition. Even the upcoming 9850X3D, which is expected to cost about 20,000 yen more, only offers about a 4% increase in gaming performance. When you look at the math, the 9800X3D is the clear winner for anyone whose primary goal is entertainment. The tech company is the puppeteer, and they want you to chase the biggest number, but the smart user knows how to look past the smoke and mirrors to find the real value. The story of the 9950X3D2 is a lesson in understanding your own needs. It is easy to be blinded by a number like 208 megabytes of cache. It sounds futuristic and powerful, and it is, but power without a purpose is just a waste of money. This chip is a masterpiece of engineering, but it is a niche product designed for the elite few who can actually put that power to work in a professional capacity. As we move toward 2026, we have to become more discerning consumers. We have to stop being the victims of hype and start being the masters of our own technology. Ask yourself, am I building the future or am I just playing in it? If you are building, this chip might be your best friend. If you are playing, it is an expensive ornament that won't make your experience significantly better. The lesson here is simple. Don't let a company's marketing department define what you need. They will always try to convince you that more is better. But in the world of high-end silicon, right is better than more. Understand the limitations of the software you use, and don't buy hardware that your programs can't even talk to properly. Be the user who understands the logic of the machine, not the one who just follows the flashing lights. What do you think? Is the promise of a worry-free experience worth the massive premium of the Dual Edition? Or is this just another way for AMD to flex their engineering muscles while we pay the bill? Does the idea of 208 megabytes of cache excite you, or does it feel like overkill for your daily life? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive into the Silicon Soul useful, don't forget to subscribe. Knowledge is the only way to ensure you aren't the one being played in this high-stakes game of tech.